Hey everybody, it's Bust with Expedition Trial number 200 or 341. Almost dropped 100 off of there. That would have been horrible. Let's see who shows up here. Okay, so it's not anything new and exciting, so I think we'll just continue on this strategy we've been using here recently of just drafting the champion that has been the longest since we've drafted. I have a feeling that it's Sejuani, but let's take a peek here real quick. And we did get the note on the site that it's kind of not fair to count the supporting champions in the mix there. Thank you, Organic Chicken or Shadow Song. I can never remember which one you were. We'll just say it was both of you and see where we can get here. So it looks like we've started with a main Draven at 323. That's pretty recently. Let's see, Sejuani or Yasuo. Oh, where are we at? The Nivea. Uh-oh, we got to go all the way back to 278 for Sejuani? No way. No way that's that old. Man, that feels wrong. Well, I mean, I guess we don't like fully build around her all that often, but that feels like it's been a really long time. And then something in the 300s with Yasuo. Okay, so alrighty, we'll take this Suit Up Sejuani. It has been decided by the the fates, and so this card pool it pairs up with Fiora, and then it's meant to be kind of a go tall deck. And so if Draven, if you think of like Draven and playing cards like Vision and getting a full board and trying to take advantage of it, that would be a go wide deck. A go tall deck is something where you're trying to invest a whole lot of abilities and cards and stats into one unit. And so if we want to say take Sejuani and then put a like redoubled Valor on her to make her a 10-12 or something, that's kind of what this deck is trying to do. This is the one big super unit as opposed to a bunch of little units across the whole board. So we'll pull it up on the site, talk about it a little more. That's not the way that I typically try to draft Sejuani. I look at her as mostly the means to play an overwhelms deck. And so where are you at? You got to find it on here, the Suit Up Sejuani. And so, yeah, I mean, the big thing that I like to do with her, it's more along the lines of her being paired up with Gangplank and the raiding party Sejuani. But you have the likes of Ruthless Raider, Mighty Poro, the Wolf Rider at 4, Avarosian Outriders, just all of these overwhelm units that are all pretty good. And so that's what we tend to build as these, try to make a mid-rangey deck, close out the games with overwhelms. I do really like taking advantage of both Starlit Seer and Avarosian Outriders, so I do tend to try to make these into Freljord Allegiance decks, but it's completely fine to branch out into something like Noxus or branch out into Shurima, where you can get some late game overwhelms to kind of complement the early to mid game overwhelms that we get here. And so, that's what I think the strength of this is. The early game, fairly weak. This pool doesn't have the Omen Hawks or the Avarosian Sentries in it. And then, of course, being Freljord doesn't have any removal spells. And so has a lot of great interaction out of the likes of Elixir of Iron and Troll Chant. No harsh winds here, but, that's fine. But yeah, there's, of course, no removal spells. The early game's kind of weak. And so that's what we'd be looking to fill in here. Let's see if we see anything that can help. And so we are kind of stuck pivoting over to this Fiora, I think. I mean, it's just these other packs. I can see arguments for taking Vi, but if we really want to get challengers, you tend to be able to find them in Freljord outside of with the 2 wolves, the 2 cost and the 3 cost wolf. Adding a card like Counterfeit Copies is not something that I want to be doing. This does pair up with Freljord in that sense, but I don't really want to pursue that. I guess to a degree, if we're wanting to kind of level this and really build to the Sejuani, we technically could take the Vi and then use that as a means to hopefully see cloning program Freljord packs, and then use that to go into Yetis. And so that's a typical, I guess, an okay strategy. I think if it was like Vi with cards that weren't horrible, then I would be more okay with that kind of strategy. But these cards here are not very good. Counterfeit Copies is arguably one of the worst cards in the game. Not arguably, it just is one of the worst cards in the game. And then Static Shocks are pretty weak. And so don't want Vi. Karma, again, doesn't really pair up well with Sejuani. We aren't trying to just return a bunch of units to our hand. We're not going to get real value out of these homecomings. It's hard to get value out of a Karma flip. And so that takes us back here to this Fiora, which she's fine. I'm not a huge fan of the Fiora OTK anymore, but, she's still a reasonable champion and strong, and she shows up here with a removal spell, and so we can get her pulled up on the site as well. One of the things I have like really wanted to touch base on here in recent times is, we've been playing card games forever. At least I have. I assume most of you have. This is probably not your first card game at this point in time. But if it is, welcome. We're glad to have you. But if you're used to, say, like drafting Magic or playing Hearthstone or something, you place like a huge weight on like the first pick of your draft. It applies more to something like Magic, to where everyone's taking cards from the same collective pool of cards, and so after you take your first pick, your second pack, you're taking whatever you think is the second best after your previous person has taken what's the best. And so, like, as the packs move on, things get weaker and weaker, but that's not how the second pick works in Runeterra. And so I don't like to get pigeonholed into this thinking that, okay, we took Sejuani first, we have to play Sejuani now. And I feel like we do that way too often. And so I do want to stop and talk about this Fiora as well, because we may end up just drafting around her. When it comes to Fiora, I look to draft about 10 barriers. We want 3 or 4 prismatic barriers, 3 or 4 riposts, and then some number of bright steel protectors to fill in. And so there's also a lot of barriers in the Suit Up card pool. The Suit Up Fiora pairs with the Sejuani, so we could potentially see some out of those packs. And then the question I always ask myself is, what do I do if we don't draw Fiora, or if Fiora dies? The answer to that question always tends to be Screeching Dragon now, and so we do tend to look for some of these as well. And so, I'm kind of okay with this either way. We know which directions we want to go, either kind of the Sejuani Overwhelms kind of deck, or a OTK Fiora style deck. It just depends on what shows up here in these future packs. And this one is really close. I think I'm going to go with the Avarosian Outriders. This is just an extremely strong unit. The arguably the strongest pack here is going to be this Harsh Winds Brittle Steel. These are both, high quality cards, but I really love these Avarosian Outriders. This is an extremely strong card, and I think it's worth taking a card as bad as Unscarred Reaver just to get this in our deck. And so I am going to go ahead and take this one. This will most definitely push us towards Sejuani. We can still back out. We aren't super deep here at pick 3, but I think the only thing that would make me not take this Avarosian Outriders is if there was either a Prismatic Barrier or a Riposte. Riposte, I think, is probably pretty close. Prismatic Barrier, probably better than the Outriders, but this is okay here. So we are really going to have to stack up on the Freljord, depending on how these packs roll out. Seeing the Ionia cards down here is kind of a turd, and so it gets tough. Our late game is very easy to find. If we're going to look to build towards Sejuani's, then it's very easy to just get a lot of late game cards. So it worries me to pick up things like the Augur of the Old Ones and Tarkaz, although the Entreat is a pretty weak card. And so I am going to just go ahead and take the hit to our mana curve, because at the end of the day, we could just, maybe draft like Brahms or Ashes, something else in place of Sejuani's if we already have too much top end. But these do push us a little bit towards expensive land, if you will. Okay, so I think we are going to be all in on the Freljord Allegiance now. The Fiora cards just aren't strong enough here. I do really like Fleet Feather Tracker, but we haven't seen any prismatic barriers, and so it's just not really worth chasing down. So with these, I'm going to take the Troll Ravager Troll Chant. I don't want these Unscarred Reavers in my deck, and so I'm just going to take the medium quality card in the Ravager with the high quality Troll Chant. Okay, and so yeah, this is a moderately interesting option to just dive into Noxus. I do love this kind of Blood on the Ice theme where we're playing with Yetis as our 5 attack matters unit, and then using the Frostbites along with cards like Calling Strike and Noxcry Arena. But I think we're a little bit far away from that. I'm going to take the Yeti Yearling Brittle Steel here. I do really like the Yetis in this style of Sejuani deck. The big thing that you can pull off with Yetis is there's the 5-cost Plunder thing that flips into the unit that gives all of your big boys Overwhelm, and using the Yetis to get Overwhelm closes the games out pretty nicely. So yeah, happy to see these continue to show up. We're helping out our early game here with the Yearling and the Sentry. Still going to continue ignoring the Demacia. I'm not opposed to taking Demacia, but if we're going to be a Freljord Allegiance deck, which, you know, we're kind of far away from, but it's not unlikely that we won't find 2 or 3 more, I should say 1 or 2 more Outriders before the draft is over. So if I want to keep up this Allegiance, I'm really looking for like high-powered Demacia cards. So if they want to show me like a Cythria or a Genvivi or a Big Sith or a Big Cythria, the 10 cost one? Yeah, like any of these like big time epics, I'm all for jumping in on. I'd be okay for taking the likes of Concerted Strikes or another Detain. It's just the Barrier Confront are too weak here. So the little Yeti package it is. So again, yeah, we can't be taking these Demacia cards. This one's a little closer. It's kind of like a chicken and the egg thing we run in with these decks to where, you know, we know that we're probably going to take some more Sejuanis in the future, so we don't need Alpha Wild Claws, but we do have to win the first handful of games to actually get access to these Alpha Wild Claws. But I think the Elixir of Iron is probably strong enough to ignore the Wild Claw and hope we can just make it a little bit further. Okay, would love to take me a Trapper, but we got our second Outriders down here. And surprisingly enough, Troop of Elnix. You usually don't see these this late in the draft, but interesting to see that show up here. Okay, and then I saw the Epic show up, but it's not quite what we're looking for. I do like pack mentality in these style of decks. What we tend to see happen sometimes is if we end up drafting like a bunch of Yetis, then we have things like Tarkaz, to where we just don't have any overwhelms. You know, we get this big old board of 5/5s, and our opponents just blocking with their hapless aristocrats and their generated units and such, and the pack mentality just lets us close out over top of all that. So plays pretty strong in these style of decks. Okay, and then here, this is nice to see these Demacia cards show up as like singletons with Freljord cards, but I don't want the Radiant Guardian. I'm feeling pretty good about Scar Maiden Reaver Ice Shard. I would prefer to be taking the Ancient Yeti. I am a bigger fan of this card than I probably should be, but the Reaver's fine, and we're getting some interaction in the Ice Shard. Okay. Okay, so interesting. Do we want the Tavern Keeper or the Yeti Yearling? And I'm just leaning towards the Yeti, even though this take heart's not that good. We have enough early game combat tricks in the Brittle Steels and Elixir of Irons, and I would like to continue to see these Yetis showing up into our deck. I think that's going to be kind of our backup plan here. Okay, so yeah, we can let the Ithid Stairs go, even though we have the pack mentality. If we're getting an Elixir of Iron either way, then we're happy enough to pick up a Mighty Poro. Hey, I am interested in Golden Aegis. This is a real kind of just like high-powered card, and if we're able to just, you know, trade away any of our Freljord, I think this will turn out to be pretty good. So let's go ahead and pick that. It solves a lot of our problems as far as closing out games goes. You know, back to that scenario where opponents just like blocking with their hapless aristocrats and such. Usually, if we can get the first attack in and wipe out their board, and then just threaten a second attack, it's enough to close it out, close out the game. But here we can pick up a Take Heart. Again, it's not high quality, but it does get the Demacia card out of our deck. I think we are good to go. And so let's see here. I'm not real sure what we're really left with here as far as turning things premium. I'm pretty sure we're going to be just kind of done with all of these. I don't think any of these cards are going to be here. Oh, we had a Wolf Rider, didn't we? And we got a random Vanguard Cavalry. Look at that, game. So let's pick up the Wolf Rider here. It's kind of on theme more with what we're doing with the overwhelms. Maybe we'll get like a nice Ice Shard Plunder into Wolf Rider or something. We can definitely make this guy work to our advantage. All right, so cool. I'm happy enough with how this came together. The numbers aren't exactly where I want them, but at the end of the draft, we're still in a pretty good spot. Okay, and so with these, I do think the Outriders is high-powered enough to hang on to in our opener. Not like really stoked about this Unscarred Reaver, but these like Misfortune Fizz decks, there's a good chance that this is a Fishbones deck, since this has to be a Fishbones deck. I guess it doesn't have to be, since he's in double Bilgewater with the Piltover, but I almost guarantee you that that he's playing Fishbones with this Fizz and the Piltover. But how do we want to approach this? I think I'm just going to pass. He's going to play a 1-drop here, right? But It's like, are we gonna have the time to like get this Fiora going? Probably not. Let's be real. I think we're more likely just gonna be trying to put take hearts onto this Reaver in this early portion of the game. Nice draw, buddy. Nice draw. Okay, interesting Ice Shard. Not quite good enough just yet, but we might be able to work something out with this.
Safety mode. Didn't build one.
It was a little awkward with the unscarred Reaver into this stuff. Maybe we should just go ahead and attack with the Reaver. But what will we get? We'll get like a trade for one of his 2/2s, and then maybe we can get the Ice Shard next turn. I can get behind that being a thing. I do want to Ice Shard down this Academy Prodigy. Looking better and better. Then are we okay to just trade out this Fiora? I think that seems pretty decent as well. As long as we just aren't dying here, I think this is going to be fine. It's a little unfortunate to play, or it may stop him from playing something like a... Oh, cool. I was going to say, it may stop him from playing like a random 1/1 or something. Nothing's coming to mind was what would actually exist like that, but I could see it being a problem. I think we should be good now. He should really struggle with Tarkaz. It's a big old bunch of stats.
You small or me big?
Have a mushroom. Have 3. Would a mushroom help?
Cool. Any amount of cards we can get out of this is just completely fine. Do any damage back to us this way, your unit just dies. Okay, just prevent the 5. Fantastic. This seems extremely good for us now.
I'll burn for what I've done.
Runaway bike!
Bringing it in.
Is there no one else?
I think I'm cool with like this. We don't need to take heart right away. We don't need to take heart at all unless he has another card. Okay, that's fine.
There they
It's
go.
probably not worth preventing the 2 damage with Brittle Steel. We're still reasonably healthy here, I think.
Many tribes, one Freljord.
Dude. We did need that take heart. That's fine. We're okay. We got a big boy as our top unit here. Didn't draw it just yet, which is kind of awkward, but
Surround them.
this will be okay.
You poor thing.
Okay, here come the take hearts. Look out. I'm just gonna go ahead and spew it all out here. Uh-oh, we're just going face already? Alright, well we know what we're working with, I guess. That was a little... Oh, come on, game. It was a little premature, one could say. Oh, he just gives up. Okay. Alright. Well, I didn't think that one was over, but... Sometimes it's that perception is all that matters. Okay, and so it is offering us up Braum. Again, I'm not opposed to moving into different champions, but I think this is okay with Sejuani. Our curve isn't like abysmally bad. We are picking up some good top end in the Reaver. Ruthless Raider is a good piece of early game. I think we're good to push on the way of Sejuani here. Okay, and her flip's fine. She flips into Fury of the North. A reasonable combat trick. Old Talia deck. It is kind of scary running into Talia. We, by no means, can do a lot of early game aggression. And so, it's a little bit scary. You should probably hang on to Brittle Steel in case they have a lot of the early game vulnerable package. Okay. Yeah, we tend to be kind of dirtily with these style of decks, so it's a little scary seeing these frozen thralls come down. Especially when we've been drawing these like really weird hands with just absolute ton of spells. Not quite willing to give up the Ruthless Raider when we have this hand of 4 combat tricks. A little preemptive.
Too slow, stupid. I go. Worthy of the winter's claw. The Scar Maiden's
Loving these unscarred reavers. Said no one ever. Okay. What? Give O2. I don't think I haven't seen that one in a while. It's okay. We've got some ramp. We're slightly getting ahead on board.
I learned my scars.
Might have to just spew off this take heart onto the unscarred reaver, but we'll see. I'd rather kind of just get him in combat, but may not be able to do that. Talia.
Second place is fine too. No one likes a bad winner, Sammy. No one.
Gotta win this one fast. He's gonna start countdowning on us. It could be pretty bad. Maybe he'll try to hook our reaver.
Tear them apart.
Also gets around Ruthless Predators. Uh-oh. That's right, brother's got some combat tricks. Are we just lethal now? Uh-oh.
The winter's claw. Blood on the snow.
That's not gonna do it, my man. LOL. Lethal to 1. Dang. Alright. We're almost there. Actual do nothing Salt Spire. I guess we have to worry about him just spewing off a bunch of countdowns, but I think that happens too frequently.
Find humans, make them flat.
The classic Talia problem. Hey, watch me play a bunch of cards that don't do anything for way too long. Classic problems.
Nothing standing.
Do that. Let's do the kitty cat. Got it in there. Good stuff. What can we do here? I do love me a Battle Fury, but I think we're good to get rid of the Cavalry for the Ember Maiden. We have a handful of combos with this. Not very good ones, but you know, it works with the Reavers. The Ruthless Raider just eats the damage. We have 1 Plunder and the Wolf Rider. Then if you want to kind of consider Regenerate playing to it as well, then you can call that a thing. So not a great pickup, but I don't want the Vanguard Cavalries in our deck. At the end of the day, I want our Demacia cards to be like the 1 copy of Fiora, and then just like removal spells and high-powered epics. So I guess Golden Age just doesn't quite fit into that, but it's pretty high-powered. Do a lot of really strong plays with it. And then it's that perfect opponent. Someone at Riot sitting around cherry picking them. They pay people to do that. Some junior game dev at Riot getting paid $55 a year to sit around and cherry pick opponents for streamers. I think they probably invested the money in that. Ugh, this hand is gross. Let's see. I mean, Fiora can, if we have some of the early game tricks, Fiora can carry a lot of weight here, but this is definitely not what we want to see against a Azir Irelia deck. I mean, Fiora is interesting against these decks. It's just our hand is pretty abysmal here. Right, you really have to watch yourself slamming a bunch of sand soldiers into Fioras.
Give me a sweet bun. Heightens the senses.
By my honor, you must die.
Shh, quietly. And punch.
Okay. This is probably reasonable enough. We're in a pretty bad spot. We need things to just go right. So I don't think it's quite worthwhile to throw her in front of the Inspired Mentor. The real question comes down to is, do we just want to go full OTK mode and try to kill him with Golden Aegis next turn? Kind of get behind that.
I will cut you. On guard. Try me.
Let's do this one. The Homecoming or something? Sure. Not great for us, but it does set him, reasonably far behind.
One sprint for each crab I saw today.
If we can ever get to the point to where we just have like a bunch of big boys on the board, it tends to really cause these decks problems.
The Emperor's favor upon you.
How to do Tarkaz? Well, we don't have to. We can just put Yeti Yearling in front of the Inspired Marshal.
Break
This is
the
okay.
strong, slaughter the weak.
With Azir's blessings.
Cool.
Bow to no one.
The sun disk shines on us all.
Awkward. But okay.
Blessings.
Still getting big though. Our board's growing and growing. See if he's willing to like threaten Fioras now.
If it's made of sand, I can ride it. Too slow, stupid.
Okay. A lot of damage coming through.
Watch me.
Tea for two.
Sure. Sure.
Prove yourself.
Our units die, right? Okay. Interesting.
My board.
The world in a grain of sand.
Sandcrafter, sure.
A fine new scar.
Quite understand that line. Ever do anything clever with Fiora here? Units all seem a little bit too big. But I mean, I'm fine with just continuing to build up our board. So let's get another Scar Maiden Reaver down. We can get good attacks with both of these. Like, maybe that's a little too dangerous with him having Inspired Marshals, but
Find your beat. Bold, aren't you?
alright.
Savior worlds. We speak with blades.
Need a way to deal with that Inspired Marshal.
We said we'd dance together again.
Need a
someday.
way to deal with that Irelia. Oh, that's problematic. Not a lot we can do about her.
Find humans, make them flat.
Alright, I think we're screwed now.
The dance for two.
Well, I guess she's at least not flipped. Is kind of our
We dance
our
to
saving
the
grace here. He
drums of
didn't get
war, and
the
all our hearts
the flip
beat as
end before
one.
the duet started.
Prove yourself. Bold, aren't you?
Okay. Yeah, not being able to deal with this second Marshal's really screwing up our situation here. We were able to deal with this if these were just like 1/1s and regular sized units, but him either having a 0 or the Marshal's a big problem here.
We march.
I mean, we could potentially get a pretty big Golden Aegis attack this turn. Maybe.
Shurima lives.
Face me,
Oh my gosh, he's going to throw away his Marshal. Well, I guess he can, like, swap Irelia in front of it, but...
Closing in on the mark. I'll show you how it's done.
Sting.
Show them our teeth. Prove yourself.
Do something like this.
No thunder.
Precision and grace.
It's to 6. I don't quite want to advertise that we have all of these combat tricks. I think he's probably going to Blade Surge this Irelia somewhere. And then maybe we can do something about that. Like if he tries to push Irelia in front of Sejuani, we can make a big play with these. Damn. Really needed him to do something there. But maybe we should have led with like one card instead of trying to allow both to go past.
And winds behind me.
Okay.
Stay out of my way.
Alright, so we got to start doing something. So let's get these overwhelms in. I mean, hopefully he's kind of like worn out of cards. So as long as he's not playing more, too many more Blade Surges outside of this Irelia one, hopefully this will be okay. The 8, and make him do some serious blocking. Gonna be something I don't approve of. Desert Wrath? Okay, sure. At least he had to play it defensively.
Smash, smash.
We do have 14 overwhelm coming in, so he can't. We're at 11 here. These ones aren't good enough to stop this overwhelm damage. And I have to put Irelia in front of something, and that may not even be enough. Barely enough. Ally 2. The hell? Ally 2. Enemy neg. Okay. Alrighty, well, let's see where this gets us. He's has a lot of scary cards that he could potentially draw. That is not it. Surprised he didn't just hold that till next turn, because now he loses out on the damage bonus, and it's pretty tough for him to draw a card that costs, 7 or less.
The soul wears away like grains of sand.
We'll play the Yeti so we can try to potentially get a big open attack on him. Okay. All fine by me. None of these hooks are pretty good. He's gonna lose his unit. He's just given up at this point.
Bold, aren't you?
Nice. I wanna just make like a highlight reel video of us beating these Zero Aurelia tokens decks and just send them to all the constructed players out there. Just be like, we're doing it. We're fighting the fight for you, my man. We're fighting the fight. But all right, we'll just continue to take Sejuani's here. It's interesting that it's putting the raiding party Sejuani up here, and I wonder if that's because it won't put 2 suit ups. I didn't notice that on the last one, but interesting that it does that. But yeah, we're gonna stack our Sejuanis here. This is completely fine. You could see how scary it was in that game not having ways to interact with our opponents, and Sejuani is about the only way to do it. The frostbites don't help you take down inspired marshals. Set of champions. 2 Azirs with Diana and Renekton. Like Diana and Renekton I can see working together. They want to be like early game and aggressive and get some high valued vulnerables. Like so you can do like quick attack challenges with Diana. I'm not sure how Azir fits into the equation here.
By my side.
Hey, what up? It's another fist bump. Not sure who Jinai is, but give him that fist bump from way out here in Expedition Land.
Spears ready.
Oh.
Our sun rises.
This land is ours.
Still don't know what champion he drew. He wouldn't be playing Diana there anyways.
Sharima, your emperor has returned.
Seer. Okay, I think we're fine to Yeti Yearling. We don't need to like fully bank here when our only trick is Elixir of Iron. And then like when it comes to, you know, if you're wanting to bluff Freljord tricks, it's either a 1 cost or a 2 cost. There's not, it's very rare that you're like, hey, be scared of my 3 cost spell because that's just a flash freeze. But I would like to just get the rest of these Yetis in our deck. Let's prevent a bit of damage. Argument to put like a 3 in front of Sandcrafter and spend a spell on it so that we can take it down with our 3s, but I think this is okay. At least allows us to get, you know, Scar Maiden Reavers going.
Tremble before the winter's claw.
Shuriman, see what I see. Carry it with you. Emperor, I am honored.
Okay, and then we do have the shared spoils, but I'm not going to play it. I want to bank this mana. I do worry about like a Nasus strike coming down. So if he like plays Renekton here, then I'm okay with playing shared spoils post-combat. But I don't want him having 5 mana up with the potential to Nasus strike and us not be able to use our elixirs to get through it.
I'm ready to get bloody.
Okay. Should be gigantic, right? It's got the shared spoils plus the Outriders. It's a 1 coster. It's a nice little package to just throw on the ground.
Emperor, you taught me to...
Tell the people what you have seen today.
They saw a big-ass unscarred Reaver. that's what the people saw today. Okay, then I think we probably need to keep the double elixirs here. We're at a pretty healthy life total, so we can take this like rando 5 damage from a couple Sand Soldiers plus a Zir. I guess it would be 6 damage at this point, but we can handle the rest of this board pretty favorably, I think.
I will be
Is it?
heard.
Greater things await.
We march.
Arise.
Bringing all the thunder, huh?
The order is given.
I'm ready. Maybe.
Those are the easy ones. Protect down here. Then we should probably just prevent this damage. The Ruthless Raider is going to fall off in value extremely quickly, so fine to let him just fall off. Seems like a pretty positive board, though. Thinking about where to deploy that Pale Cascade.
Score! We'll rise.
He does have another champion in his hand. Oh, no, he played Diana. Maybe that was the second one. Okay.
Only a scratch.
Big boys. Six sixes for 1 mana. Pretty good deal. Pretty good deal.
It is time.
Bow to no one.
Okay, and so the way that this is lining up, my intent is to hook Azir with the Unscarred Reaver, and then just attack with Sejuani and Raged Yeti. Then we still have the Elixir if we want to do something with that. Hopefully this Chimera's is only good block. It can be like a touch unfortunate since he can give a bunch of stats to Azir. So do we want to pivot to hooking Azir with Unscarred Reaver? I think that's probably a little bit better.
Set it all ablaze.
And we're just basically going to get 6 damage in this guy. Completely fine. Where's this looking to get him? Neg 7? So let's say, if we're going to like really push for it though, he can just put Doomkeeper in front of Enraged Yeti. Then our overwhelms aren't as big. So this is fine.
Keep your distance.
Oop. Cool. Looking strong. See how awkward this Tarkaz is going to be. He can be nice in the sense that he can like punch through extra damage. So if he wants to say block with Sandcrafter and Doomkeeper in front of our overwhelms, then it takes out some of their toughness. But
The sun
losing out on some,
shines on us all.
yeah, the potential to lose some of our units like the Outriders here, it's kind of painful. Okay, I think we just win here though.
All right, fill the valley.
Got him.
The Witcher's Claw triumphs.
Okay. What are we going to do here? I would love to pick up Captain Arika, but not at the cost of our pack mentality. I think we're going to skip over all of these. Definitely want to hang on to this. It seems like our late game overwhelms have been okay, but if we're able to, like, you know, pick up 1 or 2 Avarosian Trappers or something along those lines, then it, you know, becomes incredibly more important. So I do want to hang on to this one pack mentality. We'll let the rest of this go. Skip it. Move on. Renekton, the legendary Butcher of the Sands. Brings all those delicious cuts of meat back home to Azir. Okay, the old reputation deck. Let's see. I'm probably okay with something like this. But, it's like, do we want to keep a Reaver against a deck like this? These are just so weak. kind of want to keep the Outriders. This is probably okay. This feels bad. This doesn't feel like we're doing the right thing here. It's just like from all these times playing Lab of Legends, it just kind of feels like, you know, we're up against the Scar Grounds and like know what their tricks are, and it's not that scary, you know. These tricks aren't that scary. This is shaping up to be a reasonable start. Drew too many combat tricks again, but make some magic happen here, I think. This may not be the right trick using the brittle steel. I do like to be able to save it for the likes of like LeBlanc having a big quick attack, or a like a Trifarian challenger, whatever it's called. But so have to be okay.
Business as usual.
Let this go for once.
Surround them.
I assume he never blocks here. Our hand is pretty weird. It's tempting to just go ahead and Ice Shard this board, kill his unit, break his spell shield, activate our Reaver, and then give us some take heart targets. Let's see if he adds anything else though. Maybe he'll play like a Rock Hopper or something and we can try and take it down. Yeah, it's probably as much synergy as we're ever going to get out of that card, so hopefully that turns out good. Popping this spell shield off of Sivir always feels good. This really weird hand pieced together, though.
Line up.
Draw 2, not bad.
Watch, learn.
Bringing that heat, huh? How do we best line this up?
Don't let my size
Thinking
fool
like
you.
this. We want to pack, or not pack mentality. We want to troll chant, give you a boost and give you a neg. A boost. Okay. And hopefully we can play through any combat trick, like if he has a weapon hilt or something with our last elixir. If he has a whirling death, then we're probably fairly hosed, but does that take you up to an 8? Beautiful. Uh-oh, is she gonna flip though? Okay. I didn't stop to check if she was gonna flip. That would have been a disaster if she was gonna flip up to a 9. But okay, we survived that. Now we gotta just get this overwhelm punch in. It's the only way we're gonna win this game. Oh geez, and we draw an 8/8 augur. Fine. Ugh. I really don't like not opening here. But our unit is just so big. Oh, and he only plays a 1 health unit? We just lethal into this, right? I guess he could have a whirling death. But if he had a whirling death, he would have played it last turn, right? He has to draw something like very specifically weird to get himself out of this. Why would he play Rose of the Thorn? That's so weird. Had to have just drawn the whirling death. He would have done it last turn, right? Maybe not.
The best lies are beautiful.
Alright. Playing all my cards.
Smoke and mirrors.
Not blocking. Needs to have like double sharpened resolve for this attack to win the game. I guess there's not like a world where the Yeti Yearling does a whole lot, but maybe. Okay. Maybe he gets us out of this if we draw like a Ember Maiden. Detain, interesting.
Useless pawn.
He's got to play like a combat trick and a like Whirling Deathy kind of card. Whirling Death. Got him. Nice little top deck. We're allowed to do that every once in a while, right? Maybe opponent just top decked that second Whirling Death and we just got the counter spell and the detain. So everybody was doing it. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, there's our chance to pick up an Eureka. I think I'm pretty on board with this. He's expensive, but gotta have some kind of removal spells in here. So welcome to the team. Bad. So our Demacia cards are Fiora, the Golden Aegis for the Rally Barrier, Detain, and Captain Eureka. And so it's an interactive unit, 2 removal spells, and a big blowout card. Not bad. Maybe we shouldn't like have the Golden Aegis when we also have the Pack Mentality. Maybe we should just have one of those. We can kind of think of pushing one of those away in the future, but we're okay right now. Found some units. Some Malphite Talia.
Here comes the chip.
Here comes the chip. See if he's got that chip Rockhopper draw. Pretty tough to deal with.
They're out there. I'll spot them.
Up I go.
Get him in there quickly as we can. Get those Yetis shuffled into our deck. Alright. Yeah, we have a... This is as good as it's getting with the Sentry. Maybe he'll cycle into Chip.
I'm Chip. Ow! Oh!
It's like I don't really want to add the Yeti Yearling. Well, there's probably not a world where that has generated one. Okay. There's probably not a world, like, we can't take Heart next turn, I guess. And neither of these units have regenerate, so I guess this is fine to go ahead and add the Yeti. I4 is about to come down and give us a additional set of problems, but one thing at a time.
And I thought there was something good to see.
Okay. So we're probably just going to have to stall this out and try to get a Pack Mentality play going. This is fine. Shuffling. Yetis aren't like super ideal against your opponent's 5/4s, but this is okay.
Tremble before the winter's claw.
Need some time. What you got for us, Batman? Maybe he does one of those classic Shurima passes. Good. Could try to bluff the Troll Chant, am I right? I just think he blocks 100% of the time if we try to bluff Troll Chant. So we can let that go. Not today. Strong open. Take down both of his dudes, but... Thinking I just want to do... I don't want to, like, really Fury of the North this board. Do something like this. I mean, I guess we could also just, like, Fury of the North take heart. Let's stop here. See if he plays cards. Feels like he might be itching to play cards here. Hourglass is fine. Alright, so let's make sure we can interact with this stuff. So we'll take down his Rock Bear. I'll go ahead and spew off this Take Heart so that we can get into combat. You can wait till next turn. Doesn't have regenerate. This is relatively not scary. Sejuani. This thing stays frostbitten? I didn't realize that interaction.
Bow to no one.
Forget that the ancient thing puts him back like directly into play, like the exact copy of it. So I guess that makes sense. Seems relatively good. The 3 cards.
The only place to go is down. Snow on my head.
Flipped.
Rain on my feet.
Yeah. Alright, well, we can't detain you until next turn. It's a little unfortunate.
On the snow.
Let's go ahead and do this take heart play. Getting for 3 and look to we can't do the detain and troll ravager next turn. No spell shields, please. That's gotta be what this comes down to, isn't it? Is whether or not he hits a spell shield. Quick attack, okay, we can deal with that. No spell shield, please. No spell shield, please. He snapped that one off. Oh, challenger, beautiful. Okay, brother can deal with that. Okay, and then he's not even lethal. Oh, I guess he would be lethal with the Sandswept Tomb.
Stop running.
It's too obvious that shenanigans are afoot if we just let this happen. Do we need to play the Ravager? I don't think so. I'm good to just detain Brittle Steel. I was trying to think if we want to just like try and drop all of this off pre-combat so that like he can, I guess, technically attack with the Rock Bear still and get the 5 damage in, but okay.
Down the valley.
Hitting us for 10. And be like, what up? Here's my Battle Fury. He's a mana short of Battle Fury, so we don't have to worry about that one. But Brittle Steel. That's the question. I don't think so. Let's save the Brittle Steel for next turn. Maybe we probably should have played the Ravager, but at least this way we can still play the Ravager now.
Make way for trolls!
Or if we need to Brittle Steel a Sandswept Tomb next turn, we still got it. Got some options. Options are always good.
Welcome to the tipsy hour.
Okay. It's a pretty good one. Uh-oh. What are you playing that on? Doesn't kill our unit. Okay. Alright, so how much stats is this? We got... Oh god, everybody comes here to watch Bus do math. Let's just see this. It takes him to neg 15. He's got 4, 7, 10. Okay.
We'll take what we want.
Take what we want. Right, goes to neg 15. Okay, 4, 7, 10. We've done this without the Reaver? Probably. Might have messed this up. He's blocking like this, so we can still keep his Malphite off the board, but...
I've carved meat bigger than you.
Got him. Whoop.
The Witcher's Claw triumphs!
This Claw's been doing a lot of triumphing. Feels good. Okay, so let's get ourselves ready for that final battle. I am good to trade out the Reaver for the Reaver, I guess. These unscarred Reavers aren't quite what we're looking to do, even though this doesn't help our mana problems. So here, interesting. I mean, we did talk about trading out either the Pack Mentality or the Golden Aegis. That game really showcased where, you know, the bonus is to playing Pack Mentality in the sense that it lets us give all of our units overwhelm. But I think I'm good to get rid of the Aegis. We need to get our spell count down. That's been kind of our problem in these games. I know the Troll Ravager's not like really exciting in this style of deck, but I think it's still a reasonable card. Let's take the Stefan. We have a handful of combos with him, and he costs 1 less than the Ravager. Oh, then we can trade the Ravager for an Outriders. Here is the Spirit Walker. I am interested in the Spirit Walkers. This is another great way to just give all of your Yetis overwhelm, but the Outriders are too good to let go. Like that. Never trading Detain, don't want the Pledge, and I think I'd rather have Brittle Steel than Shared Spoils, so let's skip over that one. Man, I saw the Harsh Winds and got excited, and then I looked to the left and was like, I don't want it for Detain. So we'll skip over all of these. And our last one, the opportunity for Captain Erika is interesting. Maybe we do pick up a second one. We have enough of these combat tricks, and then Sejuani flips into Fury of the North, so we have access to that. Okay, I convinced myself. Take that expensive unit. Let's get ourselves to it. Who wants to bet we miss an allegiance this game? We've made it too far with hitting all of them. So yeah, did Captain Erika give us 5? No, we traded out the Aegis, so we've got 4. I think it's 4. We'll check whenever the deck list comes up. Found in that perfect opponent. Cancel it once it gets up to 90 seconds or so. I guess we could just wait and see if we play against Porobot just for the memes and stuff, but there are a lot of people, you know, they get the first half of the trial was a 7 winner, so they just concede this game. I'm not really into that either. I guess we could get like lethal on the stack and concede, but yeah. Eh. Something happened. Oh, Zello Guardian going away. So do we want to do it? Do we want to try to play Porobot if it's going to give us the chance? Why not? Well, we're not pushing the cancel button on this one. Well, alright, we got an opponent anyways. I'm prepared. Matster, playing with his ears. Right, I could see doing something like this. I love hanging on to these Outriders. It's an Azir deck. Okay, it's like I'm nonplussed about like Avarosian sentries against them since 1 health is pretty terrible, but I think the Poro Outriders are reasonable keeps. And then, I mean, we did hit this great looking curve here, so as long as he's not doing too many Azir things, I think we'll be okay.
See what we see, soldier. The desert.
Oh, here comes the aggression. Right?
Time to get rich. Ready the
I am going to go ahead and Elixir. We need to just keep dudes on the board. If he's going to bring this amount of aggression, if we can make this game go late, then we're going to be completely fine. So I definitely want to have an additional blocker for his next attack. Bring in the Diaz.
for the homestead.
Alright, let's see what we can do here. I would assume he doesn't block, but doesn't seem like super valuable for him to trade for a sentry.
Let's get him, crew.
Okay.
Always forward.
I'm gonna take down the Crackshot Corsair.
Got us covered.
Look
Do
out,
something like
Reapers.
this.
Ready the torches.
Level 7. It's the least damage on our Poro. So they technically take, 1 additional damage since we didn't block the Doomkeeper, but this does prevent the damage on his next attack he would get out of the Corsair. So I think this is okay. We don't have the ability to just play off a whole bunch of units to try to match his width. Playful Trickster. Hey, I don't think I've ever seen a Playful Trickster actually played in Expedition. Insane. That's going to be super good here. Pretty close to dead.
We go where the War Mother bids. Sand and blood.
Got blocks. You have to take this 1 damage. It kind of sucks, but... Alright, can we do it, team? Getting pretty low in the health land. Have to start worrying about things like double up. Going 4 to face is pretty damaging here. I think like he hasn't played Azir yet, so as long as he just doesn't have Azir, I think we're kind of okay. Okay-ish. But so we'll see. I think kind of like ideally here, we draw like a 1-cost Yeti and can play 2 units instead of 1. We would certainly prefer to do so.
Break the strong, slaughter the weak.
Would you look at this place?
Is number 2. Okay. We can troll chant through some of this damage as well. So that's a positive.
The Emperor's favor upon you.
How do we go about this? We can't stop this thing from attacking. I think we probably just need to combat trick here, then we can try and Sejuani down the Marshal next turn.
We'll take what.
You got caught! With Azir's blessings! Woohoo!
Finger on the trigger.
Could take him down this turn. We can take heart our Avarosian Outriders and put it in front of the Marshal. It's only going to be wider than us by 1 unit, so we're going to take 4 damage this turn. Is that acceptable?
Captain's orders. Roll it to the face.
Bold, aren't you?
That's the easy one. So it comes down, do we take heart, do we troll chant? But, I mean, the only way that they could do face damage is going to be a make it rain, or it's going to be a double up. And we can handle double ups with take hearts. So I think we want to do this. Hold a 2. Okay. Got it. Oh. All right, that was close. I think we did everything we could to minimize the damage we took there. So that was nice little game, nice little run here. So cool, yeah. Nice little 7-0, just cruised right along, didn't lose any games. Pretty standard Sejuani run. Feels like really weird seeing Sejuani be like 200 in the 200s. It feels like we've drafted her a lot more recently than that. Maybe I just like forgot to post it or something, but yeah, it felt pretty good. And so again, that's the way I typically like to chase down this Sejuani, is to go after the Avarosian Outriders and then just be like a late game overwhelms deck. And so you know, there's multiple things that you can do to go about that. We did chase after the Yetis here. A lot of this kind of depends on what the makeup of your deck looks like. The important thing I think to know about these is that Avarosian Outriders lives in Suit Up Sejuani, and it lives with Frozen Solid Ash. And so if you really want to chase after the Avarosian Outriders, you could have done that thing that I've talked about here recently, where I would have just not taken Fiora, so all of the Suit Up packs would have been Freljord only, and that would have maximized our chances to hit these Avarosian Outriders. We saw, like, I didn't like pay super close attention in the trial. I know that there was like a pack that came up that was like a Demacia card plus a Freljord card. I don't remember if there were any double Demacia Suit Up packs, but you know, that's kind of the idea, is if we're looking to maximize Avarosian Outriders, then we just don't want to be in Demacia. But I don't think that was really worth chasing down here, because the Fiora deck is a real deck. And so I think if this was like maybe if it was, say, something along the lines of we were offered, say, like Garen, or if we're offered like Jarvan, something that just like doesn't line up well to where we can be like, oh, I can just build around this champion instead of drafting Freljord, then maybe it would have been a bit of a different story, and we wouldn't have dove in on the champion. But here, you know, it turned out okay. And so again, yeah, the way I like to pursue these Fiora decks is overwhelms. They have just overwhelms all across the board. There's the Ruthless Raider at 2, Mighty Poro at 3, Avarosian Outriders at 4 is our big chase unit. Wolf Rider is kind of weak, Augur is kind of weak, but then the Scar Maiden Reavers and the Alpha Wild Claws pretty good, in addition to Sejuani. And so, the weaknesses, again, to look out for in this deck are your early game is garbage. That's why I was trying to take a bunch of Yeti Yearlings. I think this was the only Avarosian Sentry that we saw, and it might have been the only Ruthless Raider that we saw. It's just, you tend to, be your own worst enemy with these style of decks, to where your curve just gets out of hand and you get overrun in the early game. So you do need to really watch yourself and try to get as much early game as you can. And then there's, no removal spells, nothing in Freljord. And so that's why we really went out of our way to pick up this Fiora that interacts. She was paired up with Detain at 5, and then we picked up the 2 Captain Arikas just to have some removal spells, right? Is a very important piece. And so then, the last thing I did like to mention is I'd like to have a card like Pack Mentality. I like that 5-drop Plunder dude that gives all your 5-cost units Overwhelm. Just like one way to give all your bros Overwhelm, because you do tend to have like a random Tarkaz, or you'll have, a 7 attack Scarthane Stefan, or you'll have 2 or 3 enraged Yetis, and it just gets kind of awkward when those can't attack through and your opponent's just blocking them over and over again. Having the means to give all of your units overwhelm, a pretty big deal. So yeah, I feel like that was a pretty good trial. Nice little reliving of the of the Sejuani deck, since it's apparently been so long since we've drafted her. Let me take a peek real quick on YouTube. Dang, yeah, look, that's crazy. It was 294. It was an Anivia run that we just had Sejuani's in. And then the last Sejuani build round was 278. So it's definitely been a while. It's been like 2 months, I guess, if we're putting out a video a day and we're at like 340 now. Man, it doesn't feel like it's been 2 months. Man, time flies when you're having fun. I really, still really enjoy Runeterra. And so crazy how these things go. So yeah, let's jump in. We'll claim the old rewards and we'll call it a day. Let's see what shows up here. The double epics, the Adaptatron. I'm curious if they push more of those tech cards out. It doesn't seem like a very good card now, but oh man, we got another kitty. Shit, yeah. What's this? It's a little legend. Oh snap, we gotta start using that. But no, it seems like they put the keyword out there as something that they plan to use in the future. This is pretty cool. We always love a Kato the Arm. I'm a big fan of drafting these aggressive Noxus decks. He fits in a lot of decks that I really love. Pretty cool to pick up the premium Kato. I really dig that one. 100 Essence, nice. That's pretty cool. Something on the play. Oh, the play thing was shining up. I thought that was going to be more rewards. So, that's going to do it for us today. Hope you learned how to overwhelm your opponents a little bit better. Maybe learned a thing or two along the way and had a good time watching. This is Bust, and we thank you for being here.